So, yes,
Great.
okay, we are live.
Yay. Hi.
Amazing. Hi, thanks so much for being here. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. All good. Yeah, so I'm super happy to have you. I mean, like, obviously, you're one of the like super mega OGs of crypto art. So I've been following, your Clubhouse talks lately, which have been very interesting. So yeah, I'm very excited to have you. I don't think you need any introduction, but I just wanted to get like your sense of how did like crypto art start for you, like your journey, and just a little bit of like your background, basically.
Oh, how my journey started. Well, it started in 2018 with me being interested in cryptocurrency, and a lot of my friends were starting startups, and I've always been fascinated about art and tech at that particular intersection. So I entered the space and started brainstorming how I can change a lot of the things that weren't right, in my opinion, in the art world, gaming world. And I discovered NFTs at the same time. So I started a startup, long story short, and I went to work in Silicon Valley. I mean, I'm backtracking. I've always been a visual artist. I've been making paintings. I had a show in here before. So I was kind of like tiptoeing around art world already. Then I went deep into tech, blockchain tech, and NFTs. Then I came back to making art, but this time around, I started making digital art and utilizing blockchain tech as a tool to enhance it. So, and I'm still here. I'm still a believer. I never stopped believing for a second. I mean, I had some months off from crypto world, as one should. It can get too much, but pretty much 3 years of my life.
And I guess, like, from somebody who's been there from the start, you've seen kind of the space like move and grow. You've been, through waves, I guess, ups and downs.
Right.
Is this, I mean, is this this year from, from what we can see is kind of like the big year of NFTs, like everybody's, speaking about NFTs. What's your take on it from being somebody that's been in the space for, a couple of years now?
Well, I saw that coming, but I didn't anticipate it happening so quickly. So basically, 2 months ago, it was a very different situation. Now, I saw a bit of a slowdown. There were like late December, early January, but then it just hit like this massive wave of influencers of everyone. I think it may be attributed to Clubhouse. And people like sit home doing nothing, and it's been winter in New York and the Northern Hemisphere, Europe, New York, yeah, for sure. US, and definitely it just made sense for NFTs to come out and
And how do
be.
you think they came out?
I don't know. There has been interest from the art world already, from everyone else. My friends were asking, but were aware. But I think the influx of I don't know. It's just the timing was right, I guess. The past 2 months has been very, very different. I mean, I knew that the mainstream adoption was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen so quickly and all at once.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
Yeah.
massive storm of people jumping in space and try to like grab their piece. I think what contributed to it as well. The press that been announcing, oh, someone won $1 million for their 15th birthday, stuff like that. And people be like, oh, wow, like someone made that much money? How much? What? And I've been an artist for like eternity. I have to grab my piece of pie. I think that contributed to that. And a lot of music industry is on decline. It has been. There are no live performances, no live shows, and a lot of DJs were out of work, literally. Like, there is no work for DJs and a lot of musicians, like none. I mean, there are live streams on the internet, but like I guess it's not the same thing. So they figured NFT is the way forward. So music industry helped it a lot, and music industry always tend to have a large audience. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And from I guess, from like a platform perspective, obviously, like, the kind of the platforms that have been there for a long time, super rare, known origin, like there's new platforms as well. Like, how did you I'm really interested in seeing like your take on how did you see these platforms grow, and what you're seeing in the space now. Like, is it what you expected? How is that, how has that growth happened?
Gradually for some platforms, for other platforms, I guess they are piggybacking off the interest right now for zero reasons at all. I mean, a new platform reaches out to me every single day. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sure a lot of those platforms are going to disappear, as we're probably going to see a little bit of a price correction. I think we will. It's inevitable. That's how markets go. I've been in crypto. I mean, I said I entered as a player in 2018, but I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013. So I've kind of was vaguely following what's going on in the space, and it's always goes through cycles. Right now, we're in a hype cycle for sure. We're in like a, I think, mid to late stage bull run.
Yeah.
I mean, there are like some interesting platforms. There's been a lot of innovation in the space. I love OpenSea. I've been dropping on OpenSea since 2019, and they've come a long way. They really did. They constantly improve and innovate, and it's a great team of very talented engineers. Their tool is actually insanely useful, insanely unique. They aggregate all the data from all of the chains combined, and if NFT has ever been minted somewhere, it's on OpenSea. This is pretty incredible. You think about that. And Super Rare and UC Gateway or the other platforms that came, and yeah, they were innovative in their own right, in their own way in the beginning. And others, I think is actually really, really cool. I think it's incredibly complex and innovative and majorly slept on. I think down the line, it has a chance to really, really, really make an impact. Yeah, and other platforms that appear right now that are platforms that they're doing their stuff. Good for them. And like many more will come in next month or so, and 2 months, 3 months. They're gonna be a sea of them. Literally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said there's gonna be, you think there's gonna be like a difference in like price point, like changes in NFTs. What do you mean by that?
I'm saying there are gonna be price corrections. So I feel like a lot of, not everyone, of course, a lot of people who are making NFT purchases are people who come from the crypto world, and a lot of people have different agendas that when they were doing it. For a lot of people, it's just an asset class. Of course, there. I mean, a lot of amazing collectors who are there for the art, to support young artists, and I mean, huge respect to them. Hi guys, you're doing the God's work. But still, there are a category, a large number of people are just speculating. I mean, people buy different shitcoins, people buy NFTs, you name it, just to see it. I mean, I just think there's a gambling component, and people previously believed that if they buy NFTs for crypto, they don't have to pay tax. And now, as of 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, it's been revealed that they actually have to pay tax on their NFT purchases. It is considered a taxable thing. They do have to report that to IRS and stuff like that. So now I feel like some people are thinking that, okay, was it worth it? Was the chubby thing worth it? Was it? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure price corrections are inevitable, and which is not bad at all. It's a good thing, for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting when you talk about speculation as well in the industry, because like I think it's interesting to see the difference between like art collectors and also investors, which is completely, like, both are completely reasonable, and both are live in the ecosystem, right? Like they can coexist.
Of course.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, they're both so important. I mean, that's how industries develop and grow. Speculation
Yeah,
is
and
necessary. I mean, we're always speculating that NFTs are going to be huge. I mean, nobody knew. That's what you call, I mean, predicting something or thinking it will be big. It's a bit of a speculation in a way, right? Feeling about, I guess
yeah.
it's a fine line.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting because from like I guess from an artist perspective, like or even for both, because obviously you are an investor as well. Like you invested in crypto in crypto a long time ago, so you have those two perspectives. Like from an artistic perspective, like do you feel like speculation devalues art, or you don't mind?
Um, Honestly, I don't think so, because that speculation flipping, on the bright side, it gave opportunities for many artists from all over the world, and actually gave them an opportunity to be artists in the first place. So it's huge. I don't care what the intent was, but the outcome is pretty positive. That's what I'm grateful for. And a lot of flippers and speculators, they, if done right, if they're actually making sense of what they're doing, and they're doing it like, I mean, making sense and trying to make more than $100. There be some people
Yeah,
like, who don't care? They might make $20. They're happy. They raise the floor for your art, and they kind of that. A person in the middle that passes on your artwork to like more long-term collector, more value-add collector. So those people are necessary. Flippers are necessary for the ecosystem to thrive, truth be told. And they
yeah.
deserve their cut. They deserve their profits. So all fair game. I've no nothing really bad to say about the flippers.
Yeah, I like this take because I to be honest I think the same, and I think both can exist in the ecosystem really well. And you're right, they do, if done correctly, they do bring the floor higher. So for artists, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Actually, it's quite the opposite.
Sure. Yeah.
And what there's a lot of talk around like NFTs being kind of like the currency, or already like being seen as like some form of altcoin, if we want to call it that way. What is your take on that? And how do you see NFTs like in the future? Or specific NFTs from specific artists as well, maybe?
Well, art has been an alternative investment asset for a long, long time, so it's nothing new. It's a different form. Now it's in the form of a non-fungible token. So I guess there is nothing new. People always look at alternative assets to invest and to diversify their portfolio, which is the thing to do if you're a knowledgeable investor. Like if you know what you're doing, that's the key to success. Diversify your portfolio and hedge your bets.
Yeah. And has your way of creating and doing NFTs changed over time? Like, do you think it will change as well, like over time, with I guess an influx of new artists coming in? Maybe we can call it, I guess, competition, or just the masses kind of like coming into the space.
Well, I try not to think about that. I try not to compete with other people other than myself, because it's just pointless. I mean, it's really easy. It's hard. Why would I compete with international DJs? It just doesn't make any sense. We're in a different category. We are different people. We have different practice to begin with. We have different value add, so to say. And it's just pointless if you focus on competition. It's just like doesn't really bring you forward. I think I try to evolve as a person and as an artist. That's very important to me. It's always been important to me. And I do feel bad when I'm not evolving, when my art is not, when I'm not staying true to myself. I know that, and it bothers me. Like, I know that it doesn't make me feel good if I make money while not staying true to myself and doing projects that I don't want to do. I mean, that would bugs me a lot. That's an eternal dilemma. But I try to evolve each and every time. I'm always trying something new. I'm always on the lookout for interesting projects. I love experimenting with technology, so I always try to add that element to my artwork. And I like to experiment with different brushes, with different techniques, and just different meanings, for sure. I try not to look at what everyone else is doing, because it's just there are a lot of things that people are doing. It's not necessarily right for you as an artist and as a person. It doesn't really fit your narrative as well. That I'm always mindful of.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually listening. I pinged you about it over the weekend to like a Clubhouse talk that you were part of, which I think was like super interesting with a lot of with a lot of traditional art, like art people, and yeah, I just wanted to hear kind of like your thoughts, because obviously there's a lot of talk about what is art, are NFTs art, and yeah, exactly. And I heard that you had really like kind of like strong and real opinions about this, and trying to like educate as well this world, the traditional world, into coming into the space. Like, how do you see this evolving in the near future? Because I think they're already looking into it pretty closely. And
Of course.
do you think things, how do you think things will change in that sense, when kind of the bigger institutions kind of really step into the space?
Well, they're already stepping in. Koenig Gallery just had a show. I mean, it's still happening. Artist is online, Decentraland. Check it out. They built the exact replica of the gallery in Berlin, but in metaverse. So I think it's the very first gallery show in actually alternative reality in the metaverse. So it's pretty fascinating, and I think that's the way to go forward. I enjoyed participating immensely. It was great. So go check it out. On that note, I think NFTs is just the technology, is the backend tech. It's indifferent in its core. I mean, everything can be an NFT. Every digital asset can be an NFT. A non-fungible asset is just the criteria is that the object is digital and unique in one way or another. So it could be a ticket, could be a game asset, could be a song, could be a book, could be an artwork. So you name it. But NFTs, technology itself doesn't have a preference for bad, good, or whatever. It's very, very indifferent. So it's up to artists to, up to people to mean garbage or mean something amazing. I guess it will always come down to a creator. Art is as good as an artist. This is it. There is no in between. NFTs can't help you if you have nothing to say and you derivative and decorative and you're making just art to sell. NFTs just not gonna help. That's the truth.
Yeah. And how do you see, like when you're in these kind of like conversations with like traditional art people, like what do you think is, the themes that come up and the things that are, that you're trying to really convey about this world to them, to try and bridge this gap?
I guess a lot of artwork people understand that just the technology, and like they have to adapt, they have to utilize it, and it makes sense. And I don't think a lot of art world people are against it per se. Being against technology is just unreasonable. I think they are against certain aspects of the NFT space that is promoting artists like BIPO, which stand for racism, sexism, and other stuff, and getting pumped out of nowhere for no exact reason. I guess art world still doesn't get it, doesn't quite like it. I feel there's a sentiment that our space is a bit backwards in terms of inclusion and diversity versus art world, which is kind of true. Let's be real here. Let's not sugarcoat. inclusion, diversity in crypto space and crypto in general has been lacking, and it's been a problem. Let's name it how it is. Versus the art world has been more open to different kinds of people, different kinds of background lately. So that evolution hasn't happened in the NFT space yet. So
that's interesting. And what do you think? It's interesting because kind of like the space is open to anyone, really. So you would think the opposite.
though?
Yeah, no, I am, I'm up for like a, this like a conversation about this, because what do you think is missing in this space, and what do you think is needed to be more, diverse and inclusive?
I guess each and every platform has gatekeeping very similar to the gallery system, and never really committed to diversity and inclusion as much. So, like, basically selection process on a lot of the platforms is based on, are you friends with me or not? Are you cool on Instagram? Like, how many followers do you have? Like, no? Okay, fuck off. I'm not gonna look at it. So that's kind of gatekeeping is unhealthy, I believe. I'd like to see more curation. I know it's such a played out word. What does it mean, curation? Well, it means looking at art from historical and cultural perspective, not just technical. Is it shiny or 3D enough? Kind of. I don't know. I'd like those platforms to employ someone who actually understands a thing or two about art history, about like how do you value a work of art, and actually someone who has a taste. That'd be helpful. Little things go a long way. So
yeah, I think like
but true.
No, I like honesty. I think it's great. And I also, I actually tweeted about this kind of like a couple of weeks ago, and I really thought, and I've been thinking about this a lot, like how can, like the curatorial part, it's such like tends to have such an importance, like a meaning, or kind of like gets to be, like, oh, curation, like we don't want curation because it's associated with the traditional art world, which means, galleries and cuts and blah blah blah. But and then there's like a whole part of like open platforms, right? So platforms that don't have curation, like Rarible and OpenSea, that everybody can mint on there. So it's like really a fine line between the two, right? So like kind of closed platforms with curation, or open platforms with no curation, like, where is the balance, I guess?
Right. And now the balance kind of like, I don't really get, like, I try to get the platforms to like this halfway curation. I'm like those who are taking 15% to 20% and like don't do much to present your work, or sell your work, or bring awareness to you as an artist or your artwork. Like nothing, literally. They promote like 5 or 10 artists they're like friendly with, and like you still end up paying 15%. Like I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Don't get me wrong. I'm a believer. I'm in an NFT space. That's my space. That's why I wanted to progress. But me as an artist, I've been thinking, does it really make sense for me to do all the marketing? It's been draining. It's hard to focus on making art when you have to do your own marketing, your own outreach, your own write-ups about your artwork. Gallery does help immensely, and it's okay to share split profits because gallery do a lot of work for you, versus all of these platforms that you end up paying 15% anyway, for doing nothing. So you might as well add extra like 35%, at this point, I don't know, that's
super interesting.
So
and it's a really interesting take. because like I like some you hear sometimes the complete opposite, for example. So it's interesting because you're saying it's a lot of work to also promote yourself, and do all of the work for you. So like you would much rather, I guess, pay a little bit, like split more profits and not have to do all of that part. That's what you're saying, right?
Right. Yeah, because that's an important work to really present your work right and use an artist and really I guess describe your work and write. I mean, there's so much is involved in what gallery does. Or just go the opposite way. Do everything yourself like you normally do, but pay 2% fees. That's either or for me. In between model for me is honestly a bit questionable, and I don't know if it really works for me going forward. It's either me building my own audience, having lower prices, but more inclusivity, like I did the Shipple collection on OpenSea. Paying 2% fees allowed me to lower the price so more people could enter and get my artwork if they want. So it's me basically doing the same work as I would be doing on other like mid-range platforms, but actually now I'll be in full control of my messaging and everything else. That makes sense, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think the platforms will evolve in that sense, or like maybe change, or new platforms will come in that adopt these these ways?
I think there are all kinds of artists, and for some people it works, for others it does not. It just depends. I mean, as long as they have artists and as long as they have collectors and something to sell, they will exist. And as soon as they don't, they won't exist anymore. That's how it goes. That's how it always goes. I mean, there are very different types of artists. I think down the line, NFT space will be more divided in terms of ideology, yes, in terms of categories. So I think it makes sense for the music NFTs to be sold separately from the fine art NFTs, and Instagram art NFTs should be sold separately from fine art NFTs. That's my take on that. And museum quality work, of course, like should be sold separately from the gallery work and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. Like in-game items should be sold separately from music NFTs, because those are different categories, and now they are all mixed in, and it's a bit confusing, to be honest. And they kind of artists feel that they sort of have to compete with one another in one way or another. People think that, and I don't think they should, because this is just different categories, and they should not be all like thrown in like a garage sale. That's what I mean by curation a lot of the times.
And what about I'm interested to hear your thoughts about the drop kind of mechanism. Like I've been seeing, a lot of thoughts around this, whether it's the right way to do it, like whether this kind of like FOMO that gets created over like a drop, whether it's, let's say an open edition on Nifty Gateway, or, a one-on-one on super rare. Like what is your take on that? And I guess, has it always been like that, like even in the past, the kind of like drop mechanism?
That's my mechanism that I guess I introduced to the crypto world back in October 2019, way before Nifty Gateway or any other marketplace, pretty much. I borrowed it from the streetwear companies. My argument was, hey, Supreme and any streetwear brand, you name it, they're great at creating FOMO. And you have to create FOMO for the assets to be more desirable, so more people come and they have an incentive to go in and buy. Because I guess purchasing something that has intrinsic value is a very emotional decision in many ways. So you have to really drive people emotions, and drop mechanics is the best way. That mechanics has been borrowed by many marketplaces in the space and been utilized effectively. Of course, it works. But also my reasoning was that NFT technology is best, and drop mechanics is best for branded assets, more of a commercial thing. And what I did, my very first drop was under my startup's name called Decadent. And all the items are branded. There was a logo on the side of a character on each and every image. I didn't, of course, I don't think that drop mechanics is best for the fine artworks. I don't think it is. I think fine artworks deserve a better presentation, deserve to be on the gallery walls like Koenig did. I think that's the way to present fine art. That's the way to talk about it. So just dropping it like it's t-shirt. Supreme t-shirt is not necessarily great. It works in the beginning stages of the markets to bring more audience, to create more dynamics, to incentivize people to buy and sell, so to raise the floor and attract newer buys and so on and so forth. But I think down the line, it only works for specific type of assets. Like in-game items, perhaps it works. Like collectibles, it works. Collectibles, I separate collectibles from artworks. A lot of people don't, but I do. Yeah, for those type of assets that are commercial in nature, it makes sense, of course. Fine art, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I think I can agree with a lot of what you said there. And in terms of your what's coming up for you, like what's your plan for the next couple of weeks, months? What's new in your world?
It's new in my world. A couple of changing so rapidly. Oh my god. Well, I have some gallery shows, group shows coming up. So I try to bridge that gap with traditional art space. I think me as a creator, I do want to go towards more fine art world, because that's how I've always seen myself, even before working in the space. I think me going to the space was, my agenda was to learn more about tech and really be more cutting edge artist. Canvas has always seemed very limiting to me, and I wanted to grow and evolve. So that was the stage of my life. And of course, I'm not saying I'm really against commercial projects. Some of the projects in space are really cool, actually. I love meme. It's one of my favorite companies, startups, and DeFi projects. So I might be or might not be doing the drop for them, but I think it's gonna be like one of the last ones in terms of mass production and commercial projects. But I mean, I might say that right now, but then, hey, my door back, hey, there's $1 million. Like,
so you're
maybe.
You're moving away slightly, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not moving away. I think I'm evolving. I'm trying to evolve. I feel like I have to do something different each and every time, not to get stuck and not to get comfortable, because I've been comfortable in space for quite a bit of time, and it's time for me to get uncomfortable again.
Nice. I like that.
Even if I miss out on some profits, which is, it's all right. I'm fine with that.
Getting uncomfortable. I like that. Thanks so much, Olive, for your time. Like it was great speaking to you.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate all of your brutal honesty. I think it's super needed. So thanks a lot. It was great to chat.
Likewise. I mean, nice meeting you finally. Hey.
Yeah. That's amazing. And actually, Orlane Berlin just said one of the most enjoyable talks I've watched in a long time. So kudos to you, Olive.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye. Bye.